In a world governed by perception, the truth about who you are matters far less than what people believe about you. You don't have to be broken for others to try to destroy you. You just have to look breakable. That's the brutal reality Machiavelli understood centuries ago. In the eyes of the world, weakness is not measured by facts, but by optics. And the moment you appear fragile, emotional, or unguarded, you invite predators cloaked in kindness to circle closer. This isn't paranoia. It's survival. People are watching, calculating, and many of them don't need a reason to attack you. They just need an opportunity. That's why power begins with illusion. If you want to be untouchable, you must kill the image of vulnerability. It doesn't matter what's happening inside. Pain, fear, exhaustion. What matters is what the world sees. Because when people believe you are unshakable, they hesitate. And hesitation is where your power lives. You don't need to be invincible. You need to be unreadable. You don't need to be fearless. You need to appear as if nothing shakes you. In the age of oversharing and emotional exposure, strength is found in silence. Control the image, and you control the narrative. The ones who survive aren't always the strongest. They're the ones no one dares to test. That begins not with force, but with perception. Because perception makes people second-guess their intentions, their strategies, and their assumptions. And that second-guessing gives you space to move, to plan, to dominate. Remember, it's not the broken who fall, it's the ones who look like they're already falling. Appear untouchable, and you'll rarely be challenged. Appear vulnerable, and you'll always be hunted. The difference between the two? It's not truth, it's how well you craft the illusion. Weakness isn't just felt, it's seen. And in a world that feeds on perception, the moment you show struggle, you become a target. It doesn't matter how justified your pain is or how heavy your burden feels. The world is not designed to console vulnerability. It's designed to exploit it. This is the hard truth Machiavelli knew long before modern psychology gave it a name. People don't attack you because you're broken. They attack because you look like you might break. That's why those who wish to become untouchable must learn a brutal discipline. Never bleed in public. Crying online, venting to strangers, exposing personal battles to those who haven't earned your trust. It's not healing, it's handing ammunition to the wrong people. Because someone is always watching. And while some may offer sympathy, others are quietly calculating how to use your pain to their advantage. So protect yourself. Suffer in silence. Process privately. Because silence isn't suppression, it's strategy. The strongest don't always shout. Often they suffer with dignity and plan in the dark. You can be devastated and still appear composed. You can be overwhelmed and still move like a force. That illusion of control is not for vanity, it's for protection. When the world sees a fortress, it stops looking for cracks. But when it sees someone bleeding, it starts searching for ways to push deeper. You owe no one your vulnerability. What you owe yourself is the right to heal without putting your power on display. In a world that mistakes openness for weakness, being unreadable is not cold, it's wise. Guard your struggle. Show only what strengthens you, and let the rest stay hidden, where no one can use it against you. In a world where everyone is talking, the one who listens becomes the most dangerous person in the room. Words, when used carelessly, are not just noise, they're intel. Every time you speak without intention, you reveal more than you realize. Your values, your fears, your desires, your weaknesses, and the wrong people are always listening. Machiavelli understood this long ago. The more they know about you, the easier you are to control. That's why the powerful don't overshare. They observe, they analyze. They say only what is necessary, and even that is delivered with precision. Speaking less isn't about being timid, it's about being calculated. When you remain silent, people begin to project their assumptions onto you. That ambiguity becomes power. They don't know what you're thinking, so they fear what you might do. And fear, unlike love or admiration, is a far more consistent motivator. When people can't predict you, they tread carefully. That unpredictability isn't chaos, it's strategic mystery. There is something profoundly intimidating about a person who listens more than they speak. It makes others wonder what you've noticed, what you've recorded, and what you're planning. And the truth is, you're planning everything. Observation is preparation. While others are wasting energy performing, you're calculating. While they're ranting emotionally, you're watching silently and powerfully. That's how you stay 10 steps ahead. Don't volunteer your thoughts to be weaponized. Let your silence speak for you. And when you do speak, make sure every word is deliberate, like a strike. Because the quietest person in the room is often the most in control, not of others, but of themselves. And that self-control is the foundation of untouchable power. Emotions are natural, but in the wrong hands, they become weapons. When you lead with emotion, you give others a map to your mind. Anger makes you predictable. Hurt makes you reactive. Desperation makes you manipulable. And in a world where power is often determined not by who's right, but by who's in control, emotional people become easy targets. Machiavelli didn't teach cruelty, he taught clarity. He understood that to rise above betrayal, manipulation, and chaos, you must stop asking, "How do I feel?" and start asking, "What does this achieve?" Thinking strategically is not about becoming heartless. It's about learning to command your emotions instead of being commanded by them. It's about knowing that the person who stays calm in chaos holds the advantage. Strategy gives you the long view, the ability to respond, not react. It gives you pause when your pride wants revenge. It gives you silence when your pain wants to scream. And that pause, that silence, that's where your power grows. When you're emotionally detached, you stop being bait. You become unreadable. You begin to act with purpose, not impulse. And every decision you make begins to move you forward, not just away from pain, but toward dominance. The world doesn't reward emotional purity. It rewards strategic precision. You don't owe anyone a meltdown. You owe yourself control. Not because you're suppressing your humanity, but because you're elevating your ability to win without being pulled into battles that serve no purpose. To survive, and more importantly, to win, you must lead with intellect, not emotion. Because emotion may make you human, but strategy will make you powerful. The desire to be liked is one of the most dangerous weaknesses a person can carry. It seems harmless, even virtuous. But at its core, it's a silent addiction to approval. And approval is one of the easiest tools to manipulate. If your self-worth depends on how others perceive you, you will spend your life bending, shrinking, and sacrificing your power just to avoid disapproval. Machiavelli didn't say kindness was wrong. Wrong. He said it should never come at the expense of control. To be untouchable, you must let go of your need to be liked and replace it with something stronger. The demand to be respected. Because here's the truth. When people love you too much, they often start to use you. They test boundaries. They ask for more than they give. They feel entitled to your time, your energy, your forgiveness. But when people respect you, when they fear disappointing you, they tread carefully. They think twice. Respect creates structure. It sets the tone. It protects your peace. Being liked makes you popular. Being respected makes you powerful. And if you can't be both, always choose the one that keeps you in control. You don't need validation. You need boundaries. You don't need everyone to admire you. You need the strength to be misunderstood and still hold your ground. Let them call you cold. Let them say you have changed. That's fine. Growth always threatens comfort. Your presence should be felt, not chased. When you walk into a room, people should straighten up, not rush in for approval. Power doesn't come from being lovable. It comes from being solid, centered, and unwilling to perform for acceptance. Stop trying to please everyone. You're not here to be liked, you're here to lead. In the age of constant connection, one of the greatest powers you can reclaim is control over your access. Who gets to reach you? Who gets to hear your thoughts, feel your moods, or witness your vulnerable moments? The truth is, access is control. And the more people have access to you, your time, your space, your emotions, the more they study you. They observe your reactions, your patterns, your soft spots, and what they observe they can use. Not always maliciously, but strategically, instinctively, and often without your awareness. Machiavelli understood that exposure is vulnerability. The powerful are never overexposed. They remain mysterious, present but never predictable, seen but never fully understood. If you want to be untouchable, you must become a fortress, not a revolving door. That doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means being intentional with your presence. Let people feel your energy without being able to drain it. Let them wonder what you're thinking, not know your every move. Being overly accessible is often mistaken for kindness, but in truth, it's a loss of boundaries. When everyone can reach you, they begin to expect you. They begin to take pieces of you, and eventually they stop respecting the value of your presence. To reverse that, you must reset the terms. Be friendly but distant. Be responsive but rare. Don't be the person who is always available. Be the person who is worth reaching. Control your time. Control your silence. Control the doors people think they can open. Because the fewer people who know the full map of your mind, the fewer who can navigate your downfall. Power lies not in being everywhere, but in being just out of reach. That's how you protect your peace and preserve your position. Your image is not just how people see you, it's how they treat you. In a world where most people never look beneath the surface, your surface becomes your armor or your weakness. If you look uncertain, they'll question your worth. If you seem too open, they'll test your boundaries. But if you appear calm, composed, and in control, even when you're struggling inside, people will hesitate. That hesitation is power. It gives you space. It gives you protection. It gives you the advantage. Machiavelli taught that people are manipulated more by appearances than by truth. That's not cynicism, it's survival. You don't owe the world your vulnerability. You owe yourself the freedom to move without being targeted. That begins with intentionally crafting your image, not letting it be dictated by mood, insecurity, or the need for validation. Don't just show up, design how you show up. Let your presence feel deliberate. Let your silence say something. Let your energy be felt without being explained. The version of you the world sees should be built like a weapon, clean, sharp, silent, and effective. If you want to be respected, project strength. If you want to be feared, project unpredictability. If you want to be untouchable, project mystery. Never reveal more than necessary. Never let people fully map your emotions, your plans, your reactions. The more they see, the more they prepare. The less they know, the more they assume. And fear follows assumption. In the game of perception, your image is your shield. Build it with intention, maintain it with discipline. Because once the world believes you are unshakable, they stop trying to shake you. And that illusion, held with precision, becomes your greatest protection. We're taught that loyalty is sacred, that if someone says they'll never leave, they mean it. But Machiavelli and life teach something far more sobering. Loyalty is conditional. People are loyal to their needs, not to your heart. And the moment your value to them diminishes, so does their allegiance. It's not betrayal, it's human nature. That's why the powerful don't depend on emotion to keep people close. They build leverage. If someone respects you only because they like you, they'll turn on you the second they stop liking you. But if they respect you because they need you, or because crossing you comes with consequences, they'll stay in line even if they resent you. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. In a world where ambition outweighs sentiment, leverage is the only real insurance. You must stop mistaking emotional bonds for strategic alliances. Stop assuming loyalty will protect you when power fails, because it won't. Instead, create systems where your absence is a problem. Make your value so critical that losing you feels like self-destruction to them. Be useful, be powerful, be necessary, and always maintain the ability to walk away. This doesn't mean you become cold or transactional in every relationship. It means you stop being naive. It means you prepare for the day someone decides you're no longer convenient. Because when that day comes, you don't beg or plead. You don't break. You already have a replacement. You already have the upper hand. The untouchable don't place blind faith in loyalty. They understand the currency of influence. They trade attachment for advantage. And that trade is what keeps them in control. Not loved blindly, but respected strategically. In the end, it's not who promises to stand by you that matters. It's who can afford to stand against you. Emotional attachment is the silent assassin of power. It creeps in through trust, love, hope. And before you know it, your judgment is clouded, your vision distorted, and your leverage gone. Machiavelli didn't warn against love, he warned against being ruled by it. Because the moment your emotions sit in the driver's seat, your enemies know exactly where to strike. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you learn to care strategically. It means you love people without giving them the power to dismantle you. The untouchable don't move impulsively. They don't act out of anger or fear or heartbreak. They pause, they calculate. They wait until the move isn't just satisfying, it's decisive. Emotional people overreact, say too much, beg too soon, and regret too often. But when you detach, you don't react, you respond. And every response becomes a step toward dominance, not destruction. You must learn to override your emotional reflexes. Let anger drive preparation, not explosions. Let betrayal fuel silence, not outbursts. Never let someone see how deeply they hurt you. If they believe they shook you, they've already won. But if they hit you and you don't flinch, if you stay still, focused, and unshaken, they begin to doubt their power, and that doubt becomes your weapon. Emotional detachment isn't heartlessness, it's self-preservation. It's understanding that peace is worth more than proving a point. That control is more valuable than closeness. That love, if not managed wisely, can become leverage in the wrong hands. The untouchable don't reject emotion, they command it. And in doing so, they never lose control of their position, their purpose, or their power. Master your feelings, or they will master you. When it's time to act, don't hesitate and don't return. The untouchable don't warn, they execute. They don't flinch, they finish. In a world where hesitation is seen as weakness and mercy is often repaid with betrayal, your strike must be final. Not emotional, not messy, just cold, clean, and complete. The problem with emotional retaliation is that it's reactive. It satisfies the heart, but rarely secures control. That's why Machiavelli taught not to strike when angry, but to wait, to calculate, to strike only when the blow guarantees silence. Half measures are dangerous. They leave the door open for your enemy to recover, rebuild, and return with vengeance. And when they do, they don't come back the same. They come back stronger, more aware of your tactics. That's why when you move, you must move with precision. No drama, no spectacle, just outcome. If they tried to sabotage your reputation, you erase their influence. If they tried to ruin your opportunities, you take everything they hope to gain. Not out of spite, but because finality is strategy.
The eternal battle within, wrestling with desire. Imagine waking up every day to a battlefield, not one made of swords and shields, but a war waged within your own mind. You feel the pull of temptation, the whisper of desire, the weight of impulses you barely understand. Some days, the battle is subtle, a fleeting thought you dismiss without much effort. Other days, it consumes you, hijacking your focus, your energy, and even your sense of control. This war isn't unique to you. It's as old as human existence. From the kings and conquerors of the past to the everyday person navigating life in the modern world, everyone, no matter how powerful, disciplined, or intelligent, has fought against their own urges. Lust, ambition, greed, comfort, distraction. These forces shape our actions, whether we recognize them or not. The most dangerous part? These desires don't announce themselves as threats. They creep in slowly, disguised as innocent thoughts or harmless indulgences. A glance turns into an obsession. A craving turns into dependence. A moment of indulgence turns into years of regret. Before you know it, you're no longer in control. Your desires are. And yet, the truth is simple. The person who masters their impulses masters their fate. Those who win this war within themselves gain a power that few ever achieve. The ability to act with intention, to lead instead of follow, to rise instead of fall. This is why the battle against temptation matters. It's not about morality or guilt. It's about freedom. The freedom to make choices instead of being ruled by them. The freedom to build a life of purpose rather than one dictated by fleeting urges. The question is, will you be the master or the servant of your own desires? Mastering desire, the key to true power. What if the greatest power you could ever wield wasn't over others, but over yourself? The world is full of distractions, temptations, and fleeting pleasures, all designed to pull you away from your purpose. Most people drift through life, enslaved by their impulses, believing that their desires are simply natural and beyond their control. But what if that's a lie? What if the ability to conquer your urges is the very thing that separates the weak from the strong, the lost from the enlightened? Self-mastery isn't just about discipline. It's about freedom. The person who controls their desires doesn't just resist temptation, they rise above it. Instead of being ruled by fleeting urges, they command their own destiny. They move with clarity, think with precision, and act with purpose. Throughout history, the most powerful and respected figures, leaders, philosophers, warriors, were those who understood that true strength comes from within. Think about the empires that crumbled because of uncontrolled indulgence. Kings who lost their thrones over a moment of weakness. Brilliant minds who destroyed their own potential because they couldn't resist their vices. Now, contrast that with the individuals who transcended their urges, who used their energy not for self-indulgence, but for creation, innovation, and lasting impact. Mastering desire is more than just self-control. It is the foundation of greatness. When you rise above momentary pleasure, you gain something far more valuable: clarity, purpose, and the ability to shape your own fate. The question is, will you be the master of your desires, or will they be the master of you? The choice is yours. The American ideal, self-mastery, and the pursuit of greatness. In America, we admire the self-made man, the one who rises from nothing, who carves his own path, who refuses to be controlled by anything but his own will. This idea is woven into the fabric of the culture. From the stories of legendary entrepreneurs to the warriors who shaped history. And yet, despite our obsession with external success, the greatest battle is always internal. True power isn't about wealth, status, or dominance over others. It's about mastery over yourself. The ability to control your impulses, to resist distractions, to stay disciplined when the world tempts you with comfort and indulgence. This is what separates the great from the ordinary. America thrives on ambition, but ambition without control is a fire that burns out before it ever reaches its full potential. Look at history. How many leaders, CEOs, and celebrities have fallen, not because they lacked intelligence or opportunity, but because they couldn't control themselves. The downfall of men is rarely caused by external enemies. It's almost always self-inflicted. The inability to master one's own desires leads to broken empires, shattered reputations, and wasted potential. But those who learn to harness their willpower become unstoppable. They move with clarity and purpose, unaffected by the fleeting urges that derail others. They build, they lead, they create, because they understand that true success isn't about giving in to every desire, but about choosing which desires deserve their energy. In a culture that glorifies instant gratification, self-mastery is a radical act. It's a statement that says, I control my life. My desires do not control me. And that, above all else, is what leads to greatness. The timeless struggle, lust, power, and the lessons of history. History is filled with stories of men who reached the pinnacle of power, only to be undone by their own desires. Kings who built empires but lost them over a fleeting moment of weakness. Warriors who conquered nations but couldn't conquer themselves. Great minds who shaped the world but fell victim to their own vices. The pattern repeats itself over and over again, because the greatest enemy is never outside of us. It is always within. Lust is not just about physical desire. It is a force, a hunger, a craving, a relentless pull toward indulgence and gratification. It has inspired breathtaking works of art, fueled revolutions, and even driven men to achieve greatness. But it has also been the downfall of some of history's most powerful figures. Why? Because unchecked desire leads to destruction. When lust controls a man, it clouds his judgment, weakens his discipline, and turns him into a slave to his own impulses. Think of the leaders whose legacies were shattered because they couldn't resist temptation. The scandals that destroyed politicians. The reckless decisions that brought down entire empires. The brilliant minds who lost themselves to addiction. These are not just stories of the past. They are warnings for the present. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is simple. Control. Those who master their desires use them as fuel, channeling their energy into greatness. Those who let their desires control them become prisoners of their own weaknesses. History has made one thing clear. The man who controls his urges controls his destiny. The question is, will you master your desires, or will they master you? Master yourself. Master your life. The greatest battles are not fought on distant battlefields, but within our own minds. Every day, we are tested by temptation, by distraction, by the easy path of indulgence. History has shown us time and time again that those who cannot control their own desires will eventually be controlled by them. But the reverse is also true. The person who masters their impulses holds the key to true power, freedom, and success. Lust, greed, addiction. These forces are not just personal struggles. They have toppled kings, destroyed empires, and ruined lives. but they are also opportunities. The ability to resist what weakens you, to rise above fleeting pleasures in pursuit of something greater, is what separates the strong from the weak. It's the difference between those who live with purpose and those who are consumed by regret. In American culture, we celebrate ambition, discipline, and resilience. But real strength isn't just about how hard you work or how much you achieve. It's about who you become in the process. Can you resist the urges that would lead you astray? Can you stay disciplined when no one is watching? Can you make choices that serve your future, not just your momentary desires? Self-mastery is not about denying yourself joy. It's about choosing a higher joy. The joy of clarity, of control, of knowing that your actions are aligned with your goals. The world is full of distractions, but you don't have to be ruled by them. Choose power over weakness. Choose discipline over regret. Choose to take control of your mind, and you will take control of your destiny.
People don't attack you because you're weak. They attack because you look vulnerable. That's why silence, unpredictability, and strategic distance are more powerful than emotional outbursts or overexposure. You don't have to fight every battle, just the ones that matter. And when you do, strike with precision. In life, not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your emotions, or your truth. Keep your circle small, your image sharp, and your reactions invisible. The more mysterious you are, the harder you are to manipulate. Learn to detach when needed, not because you're cold, but because you're wise. Emotional self-mastery isn't about bottling your feelings. It's about not letting others use them against you. When you stop performing for approval and start positioning yourself with intent, you stop being a target and start becoming a presence. In a chaotic world, the calmest person in the room controls the room. That's not cruelty, it's survival. And it's how real power is earned.